Greetings, this is Greg. I'm flying the Aces of Thunder simulation here. It's currently in closed beta, but I believe will be publicly released fairly soon. I'll describe Aces of Thunder generally as an entry-level sim, but one with still enough historical realism and complexity to satisfy even the more hardcore sim enthusiasts. When I say it's an entry-level flight sim, what I mean by that is that a number of the complexities surrounding operating World War II aircraft, power settings and cooling systems, aircraft trim, those things are largely either automated or simplified. The FW190 did have a number of its systems simplified in real life, so in that sense, the Aces of Thunder sim is quite realistic. In any case, keep in mind it's an entry-level sim. You're going to focus mostly on combat and dogfighting, but those things are worthwhile and it is a lot of fun. The 190 A4 among 190s is one of the better dogfighters, although I wouldn't call it a good dogfighter by World War II standards, certainly not within the plane set that we're dealing with here. Right now we're closing in on a P-63 King Cobra. That's a superior airplane to my Anton, but I'm coming in with a positional and various other advantages here. The P-63 King Cobra was never flown in combat by the United States during the war. The Soviets did use them a bit. The King Cobra is super popular in multiplayer because it's fast, maneuverable, and has great firepower, especially if it gets in close enough to use that 37mm cannon. Plus, a lot of the developers are from places that were in the former Soviet Union, and right now in closed beta, a lot of times I'm actually flying against the developers, and they seem to like the airplane. I'll make quick work of it here with my 420 mils plus my machine guns. You can see the 190 Anton's firepower is just remarkable. Now we're closing in on a burning 109 that was shot down by a P-51, and that 51 has overshot him. The 109's taking some parting shots, but he's obviously doomed. We're going to try and track down this 51 and kill him. Now, one problem here, and this is not an Aces of Thunder problem. I want to really stress that. This is a Greg problem. For some reason, when I record in Aces of Thunder and other flight sims, the recording doesn't show exactly what I was looking at. It's quite annoying. I've cropped this stuff to be as close as I can, but in these twisting and turning dogfights, it's hard to keep the target in the frame. It just doesn't show up a lot of times. I am working on that. Hopefully I'll be getting better soon. Right now I'm keeping my speed high. That's the only way the 190 A4 is going to keep up with the P-51. It's a P-51C, so that is a Merlin-powered variant with 450 cals, and you can see it there. At high speed, I can turn with this guy. He's going to reverse his turn here, and I get some shots in. Those shots hit him. I don't know if they damaged him enough to make him crash, or they panicked the pilot and caused the pilot to over-G here. Either way, he went in. The 190 Anton really is a lot of fun to fly in Aces of Thunder. Don't overlook it. Would not consider the Anton a good beginner airplane for multiplayer, but an experienced player can do very well with it. Now we're flying the P-47D-22RE. Got water injection, 2300 horsepower, and a hydraulic paddle-bladed prop. We're closing in on a Key 61 Tony, and my 850 cals will make quick work of this thing. You will notice the cowl flaps opening up from time to time. That is entirely automated. Now you do have to manage your engine in the sense that you have to pull power back from time to time and you have to watch the temperatures a little bit. But as long as you do that, the simulator will automatically adjust the cowl flaps to cool the engine down adequately. And so that's what you see occasionally. It's not really realistic, but certain sacrifices have to be made when you're trying to make an entry-level sim and get new people into it, and I think it's a sacrifice well worth it. As far as tactics in the Thunderbolt go, keep your speed up, go after enemy aircraft that are chasing down friendlies or are otherwise preoccupied so you can knock them out before they really know you're there. The Thunderbolt's speed makes this pretty easy to do, and it keeps you very close to invulnerable. It's hard for the Japanese fighters to keep up and get a good shot at you. Now, you do have to watch out for the Mitsubishi J2Ms. Those planes can outclimb you. They're almost as fast at certain altitudes. They have really good firepower. Okay, that's an A6M0 there. The Zeros are really no contest, not a major threat to us. But the J2M, the Mitsubishi J2M, the rating, that's a big threat. We want to watch out for those. They can outclimb us, outmaneuver us. They have enough firepower to make quick work of our airplane, even a P-47, which is a rugged airplane. And they're pretty fast. So whenever we see one, that has to be our main priority, knocking down that airplane. Now, the times when you can turn with a Japanese airplane are fairly limited. If you're at very high speed, you can do it, which we are right now, and that's a J2M we're closing in on. If you're using maneuver flaps and a J2M isn't, maybe. Now, I don't think that's going to work with a Zero, but with a J2M, the turn performance is close enough that if he's not using flaps and you are, you can make some progress in a turn fight with him. We got some more hits there, and that's important because the other big factor here is if the Japanese airplane is sufficiently damaged, you're probably going to be able to turn with them. So right now we have a number of cards going our way, and we're going to finish off this J2M. Now, once he's dead, that pilot can come back into the fight because it's a multiplayer server, but he can't come back in the same airplane. Now, the missions in multiplayer last about 12 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit less. And once the missions are over, then of course you can come back with whatever airplane you want. But this makes it extra important to knock down the better airplanes like J2Ms, or if you're on the Japanese side, you probably need to prioritize P-51 Mustangs. So he's gone. Notice how quickly my 50 cal set that thing on fire. Unprotected fuel tanks in the Japanese airplanes, or at least fuel tanks with very little protection. Now, some of them have some armor for the pilot, but nothing up to U.S. aircraft standards. Certainly not like the P-47 or the F4U Corsair. I really enjoy flying the Thunderbolt. You have to handle it differently in the European theater, but that's generally how you do it in the Pacific. Now, we're still in the Pacific theater, but we've changed sides. We're in the Mitsubishi A6M Zero. I believe the Zero is the best beginner airplane in Aces of Thunder, and the reason for that is you can focus just on flying and fighting. You roll towards your opponent and pull, and you're going to get your nose on target and get a shot in more often than not. It really is that simple. When you start learning about dogfighting, you'll hear all of these terms, and they matter, but they're things like a high yo-yo, low yo-yo, one circle versus two circle, or offset circles, and there are different types of offset circles, max sustained turn rate, maximum instantaneous turn rate. All of these things really, really matter, especially when you have aircraft that are of similar maneuverability. But the A6M0 is so much more maneuverable than any Allied plane that you can sort of throw all that out the window. For example, if you roll towards your enemy and pull, and your enemy's in, let's say, a P-47 Thunderbolt, or it doesn't matter, P-51 Mustang, anything, it doesn't matter what maneuver he does. He is not going to beat you in the turn fight, regardless of what tricks he knows with different types of turn circles or high or low yo-yos or whatever. You just keep the turn going. The problem is that the person that kills you when you're flying the Zero is usually the plane you don't see. So right now we're after a P-47, and I just roll until he's at the top of the canopy and pull. You can see that's what I'm doing. I roll towards him and pull. And you're going to get him in the sights. Now, the P-47 here, surprisingly, forced an overshoot, but he can't do anything with it because once I overshoot, I just pull, once again, roll to get him at the top of the canopy, and pull. I can actually see him. I know in part of the video here you can't. Again, that's the way the recording works. But I just stay on this Thunderbolt, and as long as he's playing this maneuvering game, he has no chance. Now, if he goes for distance, turns around and comes back in, that's going to be a big problem. But this particular pilot doesn't do that. And now it's a 2-on-1. One of my buddies just came in. I have to say I'm pretty impressed, though, with how well this Thunderbolt pilot is maneuvering. He's choosing the wrong tactic, but he's implementing that wrong tactic reasonably well. So we'll get back in on him. And mostly I've been firing the machine guns. You don't have a lot of cannon ammunition in the A6M, but you have a ton of machine gun ammunition. So I'll fire the machine guns a lot and save the cannon shells just for when I'm in close. So now I'm turning back into the fight, and there's two Thunderbolts and a friendly over here. And I'm not sure which is the one I was fighting before, but I think it's this one that I'm focused on right now. So we'll get some shots here with the machine guns, did a little bit of damage. And this guy's really intent on trying to outmaneuver me. And he almost gets the overshoot here, but again, he just can't do it. And now he's damaged, so it's really impossible. It's just a matter of time here before my Zero gets guns on target. And I'll fire those cannons when it's the right time. My biggest fear right now is another Thunderbolt coming in and shooting at me, which just almost happened there. So once I finish this guy off, hopefully I can get the other one, or hopefully my wingman is going to be taking care of this. I don't really know the people that are on my team, and we're certainly not on comms. The most deadly thing in this game, at least in the Pacific Theater, is a pair of Thunderbolt pilots that are talking to each other. That's a nightmare. But I don't think that's what we have here. Now we're going to use the cannons, line up a nice shot, and that's all over. Now that that fight's over with, I'm looking all around. I'm trying to stay safe. And I don't see any enemies. I also don't see any friendlies, so I'm going to have to find where the action is and try and finish up this mission. This is, as I said, this is a multiplayer mission. They run about 12 minutes. I did edit out the transit time to the battlefield at the very beginning, which is only a minute or two. Otherwise, this is in real time, which means right now, unfortunately, we have a little bit of downtime where I don't have an enemy to fight, but I'm sure that'll change. Some of those enemies will be the same people coming back. In other words, the same pilots, but in different airplanes, because again, they have to take a different one when they come back. So the Thunderbolt pilot that I shot down, if he comes back, he's going to come back in something else. In fact, I'm pretty sure he comes back in a P-63 King Cobra, which we'll see later. These islands are Tinian and Saipan, Tinian being famous as the location the U.S. launched B-29s from to bomb Japan, including both of the nuclear bombers. Aces of Thunder has a lot of theaters very well mapped. In the Pacific Theater, you've got Midway, obviously Saipan, you got the Solomons, Peleliu, Hawaii, just a lot of locations all over the world. They've really done a good job of making sure this is really ready for release in terms of completeness before they let it go to the public. That was a P-47. We're going to try and finish him off mostly with machine gun fire. Now, at this point in the round, not too many people are still flying their first choice airplane. In other words, this guy probably flew something else, got shot down, and now he's flying the Thunderbolt, which probably isn't his favorite airplane, and he's not really using it correctly. I would like to finish him off mostly with machine gun ammunition because I'm low on cannon ammo. And enough machine gun ammo will bring down anything, so that's what we're going to see here. Just lighting them up with my twin machine guns. And at this point here, well, we took the wing off. Now, that's not super realistic. The P-47 has triple spars. You would very rarely be able to shoot the wing off one with machine guns, but it could happen, and it's a cool visual effect. You know, they need to do something to make the kill dramatic, an explosion, big parts coming off or whatever, and Aces of Thunder certainly does that. It has great visuals, and it's a lot of fun. Now we're turning back towards that other fight, and this doesn't look good to me. I think that an enemy prevailed over one of my friendlies. That's my buddy in a parachute there. So I believe I am now the sole survivor on our team, and this guy may be the only airplane left. And he's in a P-63 King Cobra. A lot of firepower up front. I had to duck under that. I didn't want to take a 37 millimeter round to my airplane, period, let alone machine gun fire to the front. But now we can use our maneuverability. We're in a two circle. He's trying to turn it into a one circle. It doesn't matter what he does. It does not matter. I roll towards him and pull, and if he stays in a maneuvering fight, he is going to lose against the Zero, and that's what's happening here. Although a Curtiss Helldiver just overflew us and almost killed us. That thing packs a pair of 20 mils up front, and plus it has a rear gunner. Had he got his guns on target, that would have been the end of me, and I didn't know he was coming, so I got lucky there. So again, continuing, and sorry, it appears he's staying out of my field of view, but he's not. Again, that has to do with the way the reporting works. I'm going to try and get that taken care of for the next time I make a flight sim video. All right, we're coming in on this P-63, going to light him up, and we've got some hits on him. He's not going down yet, but like I say, as long as I don't run out of ammo and he stays in a maneuvering fight, it's only a matter of time, and his only buddy that can come and help him, as far as I know, is that Curtiss Helldiver. And I'm not sure that Helldiver is staying in the fight. He might be going after ground targets. There are other ways to win the rounds besides shooting down all the enemies. There we go. One less P-63 King Cobra. You can win via destruction of ground targets, capturing of airfields, at least in some rounds. I don't really know how all that works. I generally try to win by shooting down all the enemy airplanes and being the sole survivor, which is about what's happened here. Well, actually, I'd rather not be the sole survivor. I'd rather my whole team win. But right now, I am the sole survivor on my team, and there is only one enemy pilot left. He is flying a Curtiss Helldiver. Don't underestimate this thing. It can turn pretty well. So I came in from that angle specifically because I wanted to stay out of his forward firing arc, and I wanted to attack from as close to directly above as I could so his rear gunner can't bring his machine guns to bear on my very fragile A6M0. You do not want to get hit in this thing. Any hit, even a single bullet, will easily take this thing down because it has such a large area that's critical with its relatively unarmored or unprotected fuel tanks and pilot compartment. So again, same tactic though. We went in, hit him from above. This is the way you take out the Helldiver if you're in a Japanese fighter. And this is fairly reliable. We got some good hits there. Now he's smoking. Looks like I went out in front of him, but I know that just by turning, he's not going to be able to get his guns on me. We'll come back around and hopefully finish him off. We're very low on ammo, which is a real problem. In fact, I think we are out of cannon ammunition. And he just went in. Very good. So I believe that was the last enemy aircraft, and we'll get a mission complete message or something like that from the announcer. And then I'll just let it play out until it goes to the end screen so you can see what that looks like. You can check your stats, see who you shot down. Actually, I take that back. You can't see who you shot down. You can see how many people got shot down. You can see who got shot down, who didn't, and so forth. I can't stress enough how impressed I am with Aces of Thunder and its level of completeness. You know, it's not even released yet, and it has a better plane set with more maps that are relevant and fewer bugs. In fact, there are very few bugs than any other sim out there right now. So that's the end screen. We're in VR, and so I destroyed 4 enemy aircraft, and then I can hit this button and see, well, destroyed 4, some number of points, no ground targets, but I also didn't die. When you complete missions or accomplish certain objectives in Aces of Thunder, you'll be rewarded with custom paint schemes or more often decals that you can put on the airplane. I think that's a really nice touch. Now, this image exemplifies the problem I was talking about, where the system records, and again, it's me or my computer or my monitor, something like that. It records something different than what I see in VR. For example, when I took this screenshot, I was looking straight ahead. That FW190 was dead center of my screen, but it cut off quite a bit at the top, on the left side, a little bit at the bottom, and then added a whole bunch to the right. So that's why it's sort of hard to get the footage just right in the dogfight, but I'm going to work on correcting that. These special paint schemes create an interesting situation in multiplayer. They cause the enemy airplanes, the human enemies, to see you and come to you like moths to a flame. Especially this paint scheme. This is an orange J2M Raiden. I forgot how I was awarded this one, but whatever the case, this is a historical paint scheme. It was used on prototype Mitsubishi J2M Raidens. And in multiplayer, it draws so much attention from the enemy that it makes them vulnerable to your teammates. It's actually really fun to fly this paint scheme in multiplayer, but it also makes it a little tough to stay alive. Here we are on a Japanese carrier in our Mitsubishi A6M0. Carrier operations in Aces of Thunder are a lot of fun, and of course there are both Axis and Allied carriers, and a lot of ships, destroyers, cruisers, landing craft, everything, as well as a lot of ground units, tanks, trucks, etc. It really is a very complete World War II multiplayer and single-player universe. And not just World War II, there are 4 World War I airplanes included in the sim at this time, and World War I battlefields on the front lines with the trenches and balloons, the whole thing. This, of course, is a Sopwith Camel. I think it's just an adorable looking airplane, but like a cute puppy that has some issues, it will bite you if you're not careful with it. It's a tricky airplane to fly, but a huge amount of fun. I really have a good time in the Sopwith Camel. The sim also includes on the Allied side the SPAD 13, and on the German side, the Fokker T7 here. Some people say best fighter of World War I. Maybe it is. This one is in Ernst Udet's paint scheme. It says Du docht nicht on the tail. My apologies for the German pronunciation there. That means certainly not you. And Lo is short for Lola, which was the name of Udet's wife or girlfriend at the time. I don't remember. In any case, this is a great airplane. And of course, the Fokker DR1 is in the simulation as well. So there's some really good World War I action, although the flight models for the World War I planes are not as good as the World War II flight models, but they're still really fun. Here we're sitting in a Russian, a Soviet, I guess I should say, LA5FN, one of my favorite Soviet fighters, and we're looking at a B-29, and it is a B-29. It's not a Tu-4, although it has a Russian star on it. And the B-29 is pretty well modeled. You can see the bombardier sitting in the nose there, and he moves around and stuff. The characters in there move, and there are characters in every flight compartment. Every crew member's in there. This is an example, and by the way, it's somewhat tricky to actually figure out how to get into the B-29, but here we are. This is the aft gunner's compartment. There are three operators here that work the turrets. Here is the British lineup. You can see it includes the Hawker Typhoon, which is one of the best airplanes in the sim. Sign off now, but I'll leave you with a full multiplayer mission in the FW190 A4. I believe I get 6 kills in this mission. You can see there my outboard cannons. Those are MGFFs, which are sort of the lesser 20 millimeters, but they're what you can fit into the A4. And the whole key to flying the A4 is sort of like the P-47 in the Pacific theater. You want to keep your speed up, but in the Anton, you really want to pick your battles also. You don't want to get into a turn and burn fight with really any US or British or Soviet fighter. Keep your speed up and hit hard. Look for easy targets, and you can run up quite a score in the Anton. It really is a fun airplane to fly. That's all for now. Goodbye, and have a great day.